Hello and welcome! Silrace here with Fallout 4 tabs, aimed for the survival mode, but you can take advantage of this one definitely at other difficulty settings as well. Are you playing a melee character and want some melee weapons at the start of the game? Well, I will tell you where to get a few of them. Some which require no combat whatsoever, and some which require, well, taking on some enemies. So firstly, obviously you get your batons in a vault itself, and on the trailer there on the hill there is the switchblade. Then when you get to Sanctuary you cross the bridge out of Sanctuary and you will find the tire iron, right over the bridge itself, making that a very easy weapon to access as well. Probably, well, the first melee weapon you find other than the baton and the switchblade. So there is tire iron here, which you can take. If we are talking about VATS combat, the tire iron eats 25 action points, the baton takes 30, and the switchblade takes 20. Something to keep in mind. Now, if you bypass Red Rocket from this side and head on through here, following this little, well, hillside here, remember that there are blood bugs down there as well, so don't aggravate those if you want to do this without any, combat involved. And mole rats on that side, so this may be a little bit, dangerous if you're just trying to sprint for weapons and so on. There is, however, a melee weapon always here. This melee weapon may occasionally be something else than a combat knife. I have found a switchblade here as well. Usually it is a combat knife. I think I have once found a switchblade here. But it's typically a combat knife. You can always get a combat knife or some kind of a melee weapon here, right here, there. Now, another place you can get a combat knife guaranteed, because most people want who want melee weapons are looking for the combat knife. So I'm going to show that next as well. Inside Concord, there will always... Let's talk about that actually before I walk to the combat knife, because that's a little bit of a hike away. So while I'm at the Concord, I'm going to talk about this, because you may want to come right here as well if you are willing to take the fight with the raiders. So these people here have melee weapons. At least one of them always does. Chances are more than one do. Inside Museum of Freedom, more raiders, at least one switchblade always, and so on, although you already have a switchblade. However, going into this building and upstairs, look under the beds. There is always a combat knife under one of the beds. Always. That is a guaranteed combat knife as well. Very easy to access. And also there are 2 machetes in that building as well. Inside the Concord civic access tunnels, which you can get to from either the alley from there or from behind here, you can find machete as well. You can find a machete down there as well, which is useful to know. However, it's easier to get access to the 2 machetes over there, because inside the civic access there is always a mirelurk, which can be kind of scary to deal with very early on in the game. Now, that all requires, however, combat, because you have to let either Preston deal with these raiders or help Preston deal with them. So there is that. However, there is a combat knife you can definitely, a guaranteed combat knife you can access with no combat required, other than being a little bit careful. So, firstly, you follow this road. like you can bypass Concord entirely, coming around Concord like this without even triggering the fight there, and then you start following this road thing here, which is not in very good condition, but hey, we will make do with what we have, right? Avoid those things on the trees. Make sure you do not aggravate them if you want to do this without any combat involved. So there are some bloatflies over there to be mindful of. At the very end of this this dam here, which works as a bridge also, there is a random encounter there, so we avoid that by going down here. And into the Walden Pond. You should have no issues going like right through here to the Walden Pond. And what we are seeking for is in this building right in the front. Also note that there may be random encounters on up there as well, and there is a random encounter location behind the building where the blue little canvas tent is. So if there is hostiles there, be mindful of those. Here, however, there is always a guaranteed combat knife there at the edge. However, keep in mind the monkey. If the monkey will start clapping once you enter the building, and if it finishes clapping, all of these bombs located here will blow up. So, cut off the monkey's head. The bombs are now for you to disarm. And here is your combat knife. With no other combat required than killing a monkey so it doesn't clap. At least if you are careful enough. So that's how you get easy access to some melee weapons. Switchblades, tire irons, you already have the batons from the vault very likely, machetes and combat knives. To get you started with the, well, game as a melee character. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this was helpful to all of you melee characters out there.